Coming up on Network Africa. A car bomb explodes in Egypt's North Sinai region outside a hotel housing election judges, killing at least 3 people and injuring 14. ISIS claims responsibility. Tanzania's President-elect John Magufuli cancels the nation's traditional Independence Day celebrations, calls for a clean-up campaign instead. Genetically modified mosquitoes that can resist malaria infection is the latest invention by scientists to curb malaria. Find out more on Network Africa. Hello there, welcome to Network Africa. I am Adeshawa Josh. The Egypt Sinai region is becoming notorious for terrorist attacks. After a Russian plane was downed by a bomb a few weeks ago, killing all on board, another incident involving a car bomb has killed at least 3 people and injuring 14. The explosion reportedly occurred outside a hotel housing election judges in Egypt's North Sinai. The blast in the provincial capital of Al-Arish came at the end of the second round of a parliamentary election. The bomber and 3 others, 2 policemen and a judge, were killed. 2 judges, 7 policemen and 5 hotel staff members were also injured. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack.
Security and medical sources say at least 4 people were killed and 17 injured in a car bomb that exploded outside a hotel housing election judges in North Sinai of Egypt. The blast in the provincial capital of Al-Arish came a day after the second round of a parliamentary election closed. The security sources also say the suicide bomber tried to drive a car bomb into the hotel before security forces opened fire on him, causing the car to explode. The bomber and 3 others, 2 policemen and a judge, were killed. 2 judges, 7 policemen and 5 hotel staff were injured. Islamic State Egypt's affiliate, Sinai Province, has carried out similar attacks in the region as part of its bid to topple the Cairo government. State television and security sources first said a car bomb exploded and then a second blast hit the area about 10 minutes later. Ambulances rushed to the scene, which was sealed off by soldiers and police.
Now VOA's Edward Yeranian joins us from Cairo with the latest. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us on Network Africa. Another terrorist attack in Egypt Sinai? What more do we know?
Well, in terms of the numbers, the exact casualty figures, I think probably we won't know that for a while, if we do know it at all. And I'm not sure that's really the point of the whole operation. I think basically the thing to take out of it is that you have people who are willing to blow themselves up in order to advance their goals, whatever those may be. Now, who is manipulating them behind the scenes? That's something the Egyptian analysts have been speculating on, and I could give you some possibilities there, but I really don't know for certain, so I probably shouldn't. But I don't think that the important point of all this is that there was an attack. I think the point is who is manipulating these people.
Who is manipulating these people is what the question is. ISIS is saying that we did this, and why they did it, well, could be the reason why they've done a lot of bombings in the past. But many analysts are saying that this attack appears to be politically motivated. I mean, what is your assessment of the situation, Edward?
Well, certainly it was aimed at the election process, the parliamentary elections which have been taking place. They've gone off fairly smoothly in the rest of the country. The Sinai is the area of the country that's a bit lawless. I say a bit because I think that I don't know that we should blow this out of proportion in the sense that this area is close to Gaza, and Gaza has traditionally been a source of I don't want to say terrorism, but a source of turbulence and instability. And a lot of Egyptian analysts have been pinning this to people coming and going from Gaza, and I don't know that they can prove that, but I think there's some credibility to that argument. And well, I think the Western press, many in the Western press, especially in the United States, would like to see President Sisi toppled. And you know, they're saying pretty much taking the temperature in the water and saying, "Oh, is the insurgency ready?" And that's once again we're seeing in the media today. I won't name the American newspapers, but continues to battle a growing insurgency. I don't know that it's growing. I think it's pretty much staying the same. And that it's threatening the government of President Sisi. I mean, it's a nuisance. It's killing people. It's bloody. I don't think it's threatening the government of President Sisi one bit, to be honest with you.
But the peace of Sinai is quite pivotal to Egypt's economy. It's an area that links some of the country's famous holiday destinations. Should these attacks continue, Edward, what kind of effect is it likely to have on Egypt and the rest of the world? Let me paint the picture for you. It appears that the only area that connects the West to Africa right now is that same Sinai region. If it continues, it could dampen Egypt's economy. Do you share the thoughts?
Oh, yes, certainly. I think it is definitely dampening the economy, and I think that's the goal of these operations, and I think that's the goal of the people who are behind these militants who are supporting them. I think they would like to see Egypt's economy ruined. I think you have countries, sponsors that are pushing these things rather than having an outright war. They're fighting a proxy war using people like this. I mean, certainly young people, in order to blow themselves up, they have to have some sort of predisposition. Don't get me wrong. There is that, and perhaps in Egypt it is the political situation. People who are disaffected by the political situation, by the fact they don't like to see the army taking a big role in the government, and so on. I couldn't dispute that. But the fact that you have other countries, outside countries, that are supporting them, I mean, that's what's fueling this and keeping it going, not the fact that you have people who would anyway want to blow themselves up.
Would you say we have countries supporting these people, or we have ideologies that support what they're doing? Both. You have an ideology which is there, and people who are manipulating that ideology. That's been the case in other conflicts, that's for sure. But here in the Middle East at the moment, you have about 5 or 6 countries which are all pulling in different directions. Each one has different goals. I can't say for certain in order to tell you what those goals are in Egypt. I've heard speculation. Some people say certain Gulf countries would like to have use of the canal. Some people say they would like to have a piece of the northern Sinai in order to have a buffer zone between Israel and a new Palestinian state. This is what I'm hearing from a lot of Egyptian analysts. I don't know that for certain. But what I do know, and I think we can say with certainty, is that you have outside countries which are manipulating the situation here. So let's talk about how President Sisi is addressing these issues. You know, till date, President Sisi has not addressed the Met jet that crashed. That's the Russian jet that crashed in Sinai Peninsula and was believed strongly by a lot of investigators to have been downed by a bomb. It still hasn't addressed that issue. It still hasn't said, okay, yes, it was downed by a bomb and we're going to do this and that. Has he addressed this particular one too? Because now it's obvious that, you know, the Sinai situation could escalate. What are the options that he has to keep Sinai in check?
He hasn't addressed the situation, and I mean, he did address a bombing against the prosecutor general back, I believe, in June, saying that revenge would be taken, that his blood would be avenged. I think that pretty much covers what happened here as well. Judges, also people who were involved in the security at the hotel were killed. I'm sure that they will do whatever action they need to do to get their revenge, or whatever you want to call it. That's what most governments do. I think that's what Mr. Putin is contemplating about his plane that was shot down. Every country does that. But admitting that a plane was downed by a group of terrorists is admitting defeat. Why would you want to do that? That means you're weak if you address terrorists.
How about accepting the fact? How about accepting the fact and dealing with it? Because sometimes that is what it is. Do you agree?
Accepting the fact that you have terrorists on your soil? I don't know. Does your president in Nigeria talk to the Boko Haram people? Does he address them? I don't know. Maybe he does. Some countries don't. I think it's not a good policy just from a general political standpoint to address terrorists.
Neither is denying the fact that it exists is. Thank you so much, VOA's Edward Iranian, there for us from Cairo. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Another car bomb explosion, this time in Libya's capital Tripoli, has killed at least 5 guards, wounding 16 others. The guards are believed to be working with a self-declared government controlling Tripoli security officials. Well, they say the bomb targeted the Mislata checkpoint near Coms on the coast road between Tripoli and Misrata. There have been no claims of responsibility for the bombing. Libya is caught in a conflict between 2 rival governments and scores of armed factions that back them. Islamist fighters allied with Islamic State are also present. Let's take a short break on Network Africa. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Somali Islamist Al-shabaab militants claim responsibility for the roadside blast that wounded 3 Kenyan soldiers in the eastern part of the country. In a moment.